Okay, Anna, I think we've got a majority of folks here if we want to get started. Anna's going to have a couple things to say. She's got a brief speech lined up for us, and then we're going to turn over to Q&A, and hopefully some of the discussion points that we're going to talk about today will help streamline the conversation so we can make it a productive meeting. So Anna, take it away.
Thank you, Melissa, and good afternoon, everyone. Thank you to all of the council and committee officers for making the time to attend today. I am delighted that so many of you could join us or will be viewing this video later. My purpose today is to share information that is of interest to you and to leave time for any questions you might have. So let's get started with what's most pressing on most of your minds, the mid-year meeting. As you probably know, the 2021 mid-year meeting will be virtual. We received significant response to a survey we conducted in early October, and majority of our membership indicated that they were simply not comfortable in or with attending an in-person 3-day conference at this particular point in time. You also indicated that you were not comfortable staying at a hotel for a 3-day conference in December of this year. In light of those survey results and being cautious of your safety and health, as well as staff health and safety, we made the decision that a 3-day indoor event was not a responsible way to move forward at this time, not only because of the fact that there would be low attendance, but also because that low attendance would have translated to, frankly, significant financial penalties that we would have had to pay based on our contract. By going virtual, we were able to alleviate that financial concern and also keep in mind your, again, health and safety. We do understand the frustration of some of our members who are anxious to meet again in person, and we are hopeful that our in-person events will happen sooner rather than later. Councils and committees may schedule their usual mid-year meeting anytime in November through January, avoiding any holidays, of course. For the upcoming virtual mid-year meeting, the ISBA Board of Governors will meet on Thursday, December 9th, and the Assembly meeting is scheduled for Friday, December 10th. Several ISBA and IJA CLE programs are scheduled for Friday, December 10th, and I encourage you all to register for those programs. In the chat function, we will insert a link to those programs at this time. For more information about the ISBA mid-year CLE program, please contact Jeannie Heaton. For mid-year business meeting information, please contact your staff liaison. And for the general mid-year inquiries, please contact Kim Weaver. And also, I would like to take the opportunity to thank Kim Weaver and Charlie Northrup for the work they have done related to the mid-year meeting and dealing with our hotel and simply being incredible support in terms of dealing with this issue. As far as the presidential initiatives, which include the Business Institute, the DEI consultant, and life work balance programming, consistent with our commitment to being relevant and again against the backdrop of the continued pandemic, we are offering programs that are designed to help members better practice law using sound business practices and to help them deal with the life work challenges they confront. We have presented 2 programs as part of the Business Institute series that will be available online soon. They were also well attended when we presented them. And we also had a program with Debbie Epstein Henry a few weeks ago, and that was our first program in our life work programming series. More programming details will be forthcoming for additional CLEs and programs. As far as our DEI initiative, ISBA has retained the services of 2 very well-qualified consultants to work with ISBA leadership to assess, strategize, and develop implementation plans for an even more diverse and inclusive ISBA. Professor Kimberly Norwood and Dr. Richard Harvey of Washington University in St. Louis are working with us. Given the importance of this project, all of the vice presidents will be helping coordinate this effort. Please let Kim Weaver know if you have any questions about these endeavors. We also anticipate providing an additional update as to the work of the DEI initiative with Professor Norwood and Dr. Harvey early next year. As far as campaign season, We are now in October, and October 1st marked the beginning of the ISBA campaign season. Candidates for third vice president, board of governors, and the assembly may ask to speak at your next business meeting. It is common practice to allow our candidates to speak at these meetings. We encourage the candidates to reach out in advance to the chairs of each group to ask for time to speak at their meeting. Most chairs do allow candidates to speak. However, this is the prerogative of a chair, considering the activities and interests of your council committee. If candidates have previously spoken to your group, if the agenda is packed, or if you are worried about time, you are reasonable in declining to provide an opportunity to speak. There is one Board of Governors seat, Area 7, with no current petitions filed. Area 7 covers Illinois Judicial Circuits 1, 2, and 4. The incumbent is not eligible to run for the seat. In the Assembly, there are petitions have been created for circuits 5, 8, 9, 13, and 15. In Cook County, there are a total of 22 seats to be elected, and only 9 petitions have been created. If you have questions regarding ISBA elections, please reach out to Kim Weaver. Again, this year, the candidate nominating petitions will use electronic format. Please encourage your members to sign petitions for candidates for whom they can vote and find out more about each candidate. The website for petitions will be placed in our chat momentarily. In addition, we will be offering forums or hosting forums with the candidates for third vice president and board of governors in the coming months. As far as our business meetings, to say it simply and succinctly, Zoom works. Holding business meetings by Zoom has continued to receive generally broad support. Zoom meetings allow our members to participate regardless of the geographic location or the necessary business and work commitments. They have proven to be time savers and have produced significantly better attendance. This is one of the lessons we are learning from this pandemic. We are mindful of your responsibility and our responsibility to provide opportunities for members to network. So we are planning some of in-person events, but more on that a little bit later. If you have any comments or would like to share your thoughts, please reach out to Melissa Burkholder. As far as the appointment process for section council and committees, it is that time of the year again. Starting November 1st, the self-nomination appointment form for next year's section councils and committees will be available. We encourage every member to self-nominate for next year, including members who are currently serving. This helps us to understand who is interested and who is not interested in serving. In February, all of the chairs and vice chairs will be asked to fill out an evaluation form. This form assists the president-elect when selecting members of the group. There are several pieces of information that the president-elect will receive, including your evaluation form. Please be as thorough, candid, and forthcoming as possible, and provide as much information so that President-elect Rory Weiler will have that information available during the appointment selection process. If you have any questions, please contact Melissa Burkholder. I can tell you that having gone through the appointment process, the information you provide is invaluable to making sure that people who contribute or will contribute to your section council and committee are recognized and appointed. So help us help you. As far as our planning for next year, we are looking forward to hopefully hosting 2 spring member appreciation events. We originally thought to have those in the fall of this year. Unfortunately, due to safety and wellness concerns, we have rescheduled those to spring of next year. We anticipate that these events will be scheduled for late April and May of 2022. More information about these events will be forthcoming. And again, please contact Kim Weaver for any additional information. I would like to also talk to you about IBF Champions liaisons, and you're probably saying, what's that? Well, IBF conducted some rebranding initiatives, and as part of that, they are now referring to what used to be the Fellows Program as the IBF Champions Program. Starting this fall, the IBF has asked current members of your groups, of your section councils and committees, to act as a liaison between the group and the IBF. The IBF is requesting time at an upcoming meeting to speak about the value of their Champions program. Not all groups have been assigned a liaison. However, for those that have, your staff liaison will add them to your next agenda for discussion. Note that these liaisons are already members of your section council or committee. New members will not be added. For more information, please contact Jesse Reeves with the Illinois Bar Foundation. Now, reminder about the newsletter articles and submissions. It is one of your important responsibilities as a chair to ensure that your section council's newsletter is published at least quarterly. Not only do your rank and file section members expect to receive the newsletter as part of their section fees, but paid advertising in the newsletter is also an important source of non-dues revenue for the ISBA. Over the past year, staff has seen a positive trend of increasing ad sales in section newsletters. And when these newsletters are not published as scheduled, it not only risks the revenue tied to a given newsletter issue, but could also deter our advertisers from purchasing ads in the future. While your newsletter editors bear the burden or the bulk of the burden of getting these newsletters published, it's ultimately part of your responsibility as a chair to ensure that quarterly publication. If you need any help in this regard, simply contact your staff liaison and they will connect you to a relevant ISBA publication staff for assistance. Now, I would like to take some time and answer any questions you might have about the ISBA, business of your group, or any general concerns. Feel free to raise your hand in the Zoom or use the chat box feature, please.
Great question. Go ahead, Barbara.
I'm muted, sorry. Hi, everyone. I'm vice chair of the Disability Law Committee, and we have a particular concern. Every year we address to ISBA with regarding the annual meeting about accessibility. This year, again, it's at the Abbey, and or the Somerset Lake Geneva, right?
It's in the Grand. It's at the Grand Geneva, not at the Abbey.
Okay,
The Grand Geneva is the one that we are is better equipped for accessibility.
Right, but there is still issues in Lake Geneva about transportation for people who cannot drive to get out there. There was issue, there's not a really easy way to get there for people who cannot drive. Also, the last annual meeting we had, there was, what do you call it? The issue was that the meeting places were very spread apart. And the registration desk was not accessible for people who could not walk well. So, we have addressed our committee to the ISBA a number of times. I think Patty is here too, and she's part of our committee. And it's just very difficult for people who have mobility issues. And we just want to reconfirm our how important this is for members who have mobility issues, that the annual meeting, these issues are addressed at the annual meeting.
Thank you for sharing that with us, and we will make sure to pass on your concerns to President-elect Weiler.
Is there, yeah, okay, well, we'll follow up, so.
Thank you for that, I appreciate that.
Madam President, if I may.
Of course.
The concerns of members of who have special needs in our association are very important to us. To answer one of your questions you alluded to, it's very unlikely that ISBA will ever be at the Abbey again. We are aware of some of the concerns that you have with respect to the Grand Geneva. the meeting at the Grand Geneva, we're relooking at how that meeting flows. We're taking into consideration those concerns, and we're also looking at transportation issues that might be available. We are penultimately concerned about these issues, and we'll continue to put them in the forefront and continue to have conversations with the fine members of your committee, Barbara. So thank you for raising that issue.
Okay, and we'll probably keep in touch with this, so.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Crackett. I saw a few questions in the chat box, one related to the timing of the spring receptions and some concerns in terms of not conflicting with IJA or IBF programming. As of right now, the membership reception scheduled for Collier counties of Cook County and Collier counties would be on May 19th at Morton Arboretum. And I believe that the IBF Gala is being scheduled tentatively. I don't want to steal their thunder, for May 20th, so the following day. So there would not be a direct conflict between those two. We have not yet scheduled the date of the reception for Springfield.
Yeah,
And there
Anna,
was- Yes, Judge.
this is Deb Walker. I was talking about the legal luminaries reception in Springfield, which we're hoping to hold, I believe, on the 9th or 10th of May. I just wanted to make sure the ISBA was going to have a reception, especially downstate, that would create issues for us if we can proceed with our legal luminaries reception in Springfield.
Thank you, Judge. We work very closely with IBF, and Lisa Newley is a good friend of mine, so we ensure that we do not conflict.
And she's a good friend of mine too, and we were chatting separately, so thank you very much.
You're very welcome. I believe there was also a question in terms of a president's trip scheduled for this spring. As of right now, we are still scheduled to host my trip to California in May, and we are, I believe, are still scheduled to host or rescheduled to host past President ORSI's cruise to Italy and Greece.
I do think it's fine.
And I believe there was also a question regarding CLE and what is exactly expected of your section councils in terms of the CLEs. And I see that Jeannie Heaton responded in the chat box. I'm not sure if you all had a chance to see it, but there was coordinator training in July, and there is a CLE coordinator meeting tomorrow. We are continuing to work on CLE programming, and we are asking each section to produce 2, 5, 10, or 20 hours for the on-demand catalog based on member size. Your CLE coordinator will know more, and you are all welcome to attend the meeting tomorrow with CLE coordinators. So Jeannie, if I can maybe ask you to share information in the chat box in terms of how committee and section chairs could indicate that they would like to participate in your CLE meeting tomorrow. Thank you. Are there any other questions or concerns or comments?
Any crazy question, we can take all of them, no problem. Any burning ISBA question. I cannot believe, I think past President Dennis ORSI actually has a question.
Okay, go right ahead.
And Anna, you did touch on this briefly, but as a committee chair this year, and I know all of you are chairs, and have sat through many of these requests for presentations from candidates. And Anna has mentioned, sort of once they pop in, if you have time in your schedule, give them the opportunity. But my concern is we tried this last year during my year in Zoom, and we really didn't roll out the candidates asking for time until the mid-year meeting. And that was our first go around for the Zoom programming. And traditionally, that's when the candidates would show up at the mid-year meeting. Now I've noticed on some of the meetings, they've already started to appear here in October. And we suspect, from here on out, we may see some candidates wanting to come to virtually every meeting. And I do think out of respect for all of our time and the work that we have to do as a committee chairs, we ought to advise candidates that want to speak that you get one shot at the committee, not every meeting between now and April. And if you could limit them to maybe just a couple of minutes. And it also frustrates me not so much to hear from the third vice presidential candidates because they have a statewide presence, But when we hear from people that are running for assembly or frankly, even Board of Governors, those are regional offices. And, you know, if most of our committee members don't even get an opportunity to vote for those offices, I would say limit those people to perhaps 1 minute, just because it does cut into the valuable work that I think all of our committees need to put out. So that's my 2 cents worth.
Thank you, Past President ORSI. So actually, the election committee that is chaired by Dennis Lynch looked at this issue in the years past and ultimately decided not to offer a recommendation on this. So we will certainly follow up and encourage the candidates to be respectful of the time and the work that the committees undertake. But we were concerned that attempting to limit anyone would delve into the area of free speech, and therefore we will simply appeal to the candidates to be respectful of your time. I see Third Vice President Sunny Williams. Sunny, please go ahead.
Yes, just in response to Past President ORSI's comments regarding limiting the candidates from addressing the committees, having gone through that last year, there was a candidate who actually, participated or visited the committees way before the mid-year meeting, and it went on. So, and I have to say that as long as the candidate gives the respect of the chair and requests the chair, I would say that we should, especially in the middle of the game right now, we shouldn't be changing the rules in the middle of the game. I would not, I would not be in support of that. And obviously, again, limitation on the candidate's time and everything else, but we should make this a fair process and not limit it in the middle of the game. And it is going through it last year, there was really no guidelines regarding it. And I don't want to set guidelines in the midst of election. Thank you.
Thank you, Sunny. I see Patty Chang has her hand raised. Patty, would you like to make a comment or have a question?
Yes, that would be me. I am
Please go ahead.
also a member of the disability law community. I happen to be a blind person. I know you've spoken briefly about DEI efforts, and I am concerned about a couple of specifics in relation to DEI efforts around disability. Number one is the Illinois State Bar Association recruiting disabled candidates as employees. And are we encouraging continuing legal education speakers to be diverse, including people with disabilities?
Two
I'll be
excellent
happy to-
questions.
I'll be happy
Please
to
go
respond
ahead,
to that
Bob.
question. Patty, thank you very much for your question. ISBA is committed to a diverse staff as well as diversity within the CLE Speaker Corps. I know that there's conversations going on specifically between the Scope and Correlation Committee, a board committee, and the CLE Committee with respect to enhancing and increasing diversity. And again, at the staff level, we are always on the lookout for diverse candidates because we want our staff to look just like our community.
Does that include people with disabilities? Because I have had the impression before that it did not, quite candidly.
I can't say that we have specifically recruited disabled candidates, but we have welcomed disabled candidates to be applicants for positions. This is something I'll be happy to talk with you more about. There's no question that this is an area that we need to provide additional emphasis to.
Thank you, Mr. Crackhead. Patty, do you have any additional questions?
No, but the only thing that I'd like to relay is I would like to make sure that everyone on the meeting understands that Zoom also has the capacity to provide captioning for deaf candidates. And I haven't seen us do that much, but we should at least give people the option.
Thank you, Patty. That's a great comment. And we actually do have captioning enabled for this meeting, but you're right. It's an important feature that can assist our colleagues who need that and benefit from that resource. Thank you for that. Are there any other questions or comments?
Anna,
this
I'm
is-
sorry, I don't have my
Go ahead,
emoji
Susan.
hand up. I just have a question about the reopening of the CRO. I know you were, I'm sorry, everyone, I'm chair of the Family Law Section Council this year. I have many of my people, even those downstate, who want to start resuming in-person meetings. I was just curious to know, because I know Chicago is a different animal. If there are plans or what is in the works or what is being talked about in terms of reopening of the CRO.
Go ahead, Mr. Craighead.
Given all of the uncertainty that we face, and we constantly monitor trends with regard to COVID and mandates that are in place, we tend to look at this in probably 60 to 90-day windows. And at this point, and we continue to do that. At this juncture, I feel comfortable saying there wouldn't be any reopening the office until after the first of the calendar year. But again, this is something that we monitor this weekly and plan on, not only with respect to the offices being open to serve members, but also in terms of staff being in the offices. So this is something that we will continue to monitor. This is something that we will continue to work with the leadership in terms of keeping you apprised. And we're cognizant of members being interested in in-person meetings again. At this juncture, we haven't gone that route, but again, this is something we will continue to look at and make evaluations really on a weekly basis and look at again in that 60 to 90-day window.
And to add to Mr. Craighead's comments, Susan, you may recall that the last budget that we passed anticipated Zoom meetings for this bar meetings. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. And I realize that it definitely impacts the budget. I have an extremely large section council, and I'm amazed at even how many of my downstate people are asking to come back. So
thank you for sharing.
I was just wondering what the, I know that it's difficult and you can't really predict, but I appreciate you keeping us posted. Thank you.
Thank you. I see that we have a question from Keith Castell. I hope I pronounced that right. If I did not, Keith, my apologies.
That's just fine. I'm chair of the Agricultural Law Section Council, and in September, we voted to encourage the ISBA to open up its meetings for in-person meetings, and of course, that did not happen. All of our members, this was a unanimous vote in September, wanted to meet in person in December. Historically, the Agricultural Committee has had a fall meeting at some point at an interesting agricultural place. We've had it at the headquarters of John Deere. We've had it at Monsanto. We've had it at the Illinois Department of Agriculture. Places where we can learn more from and communicate with some of a major agricultural industry. My guess is that I could get written approval to the extent the ISBA allowed it to have our committee, which is often downstate members, not completely downstate members, to meet at Company X. I won't divulge the company here, for a meeting in the next 3 months. My guess is that that's not allowed. But nevertheless, I would like to push for that. Do you have any comment about it?
Mr. Craighead, go ahead.
We understand your concern and consideration. I would be happy to have this conversation with you as we move towards December and head towards the first year.
Okay, well, we'll do that. Thank you.
Are there any other questions? I see Mike Maslanka's comment. And the question is, has ISBA membership number dropped in the past year or two? Mr. Craighead, can I ask you to respond?
We have just completed the beginning of our dues cycle. And I'm pleased to report, and I hope a number of you took advantage of this, that ISBA, based upon our good financial standing, was able to offer all active members a 15% discount on their dues in this last dues cycle. It appears at this point in time that we're looking at a 98% retention of our active membership. As a result, there are various times in the year, November as well as April being good times to do an analysis, but we're seeing on a national basis that the standard of retention of membership for individual professional association memberships is about 90%. So we feel comfortable at this point. It's something that it's a day-to-day challenge for a voluntary association. voluntary bar association to maintain its relevance. That's one of the reasons that one of the big emphasis that we have is making certain that we serve our members well and we take good care, especially of those members of the official family. And we thank all of you who give time and effort to help us provide product and services to the general membership. So we can always do better. It's a constant worry. It's a constant concern. The general trend is we see 2 to 3 diminution each year. There have been some better years, but again, it's something that remains an ongoing concern and area of emphasis for staff and leadership.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, I would like to take the opportunity to publicly thank Mr. Craighead and Kim Weaver and Melissa and each and every one of the staff members who have been working very hard for the last 2 years and going above and beyond what happens behind the scenes, and the fact that they continue the work that they're doing for the benefit of our membership. I wanted to say thank you to all of them. I also did see Judge Deborah Walker raising her hand. Judge Walker, do you have a question that you would like to ask?
That was me clapping, not raising. my hand.
Thank you for that. I appreciate that. And thank you to each and every one of you for the work that you're doing as chairs and vice chairs of your section council and committees. We could not do this work without you. So thank you all.
Thanks for your leadership.
Thank you.
If you do have any questions, if you think of any, between now and your next meeting, feel free to reach out to your staff liaison or to myself. We're always happy to answer any questions. Until then, happy holidays, and we will see everyone soon.
Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Take
you,
care.
Anna.
everybody.
Thank you, Melissa. Thanks,
Stay
Bob.
safe.
Thanks, Kim.
Bye-bye. Good call.
Everyone beware. Be careful. I mean, beware. Be careful.
Take care.
Both.
Both. It's Halloween. Happy Halloween for those. Beware.